Hey, Dr. Jon Finn here. Welcome to the Habit Mechanic podcast. Right now, you can get my new best-selling book, Train Your Brain for the AI Revolution, at tougherminds.co.uk. The digital book, audiobook, and physical book are all available at a special price that you won't find anywhere else.
I think it's important to say that certainly the way that I see it, it seems like the All Blacks' aim is to consistently put a team on the field that is excellent at independently understanding how to break down the opposition defence so they can score points, and equally excellent at breaking up the opposition's attack. And it's very well documented that the coaches want the players to take as much responsibility for that as possible. So when we talk about problem solving, I think that's what they're referring to, is that they can break up attacks and break down defenses. I think to really understand why the All Blacks are successful, and actually why they've been less successful in recent years, we need some kind of framework to guide our thinking. And I think there are three drivers of a high performing team that will be helpful to understand in order to help us understand more about the All Blacks' success and failure. The first thing that needs to be in place for a team to be high performing is it needs to have big, meaningful goals to work towards. You know, what's the purpose? What's the strategy? What's the priorities right now? And it seems very clear that the All Blacks' big goals are to be the number one team in the world, and also for every individual to be a great All Black. The second driver that needs to be in place, I would say, is what we call me power conditioning. This is about each individual team member continually striving to get better. So a good statement to summarize that is, I choose to prepare to bring my best self to work so that I can develop myself technically, tactically, physically, psychologically, and hopefully also as a leader as well, as we increasingly understand the importance of that. And the third factor is what we call team power. So this is about each individual team member continually striving to help the team achieve its goals. And we can summarize that in a statement like, we choose to work together and bring the best out of each other in difficult situations. So we've got big goals, me power conditioning, and team power. So we can use that insight to help us to understand the All Blacks' success and also failure, because what we've seen with the All Blacks since around maybe 2009, 2010, and that team that ultimately won the 2011 World Cup, and then much of the same team went on to win the World Cup again in 2015. We've seen one of the best All Black teams ever, if not the best. You know, they had a winning ratio of about 95% during that period. They were almost unbeatable. And then what we've seen post World Cup win of 2015, when a lot of the senior leaders retired, was a much less successful team. If we think about the success and what made them successful, I really like Steve Hansen quote that he gave to a British newspaper. Steve Hansen is the former coach, and he's touted by many as the greatest All Black coach of all time. And he was asked about, what's the secret of your success? And one of the things he said, this is a verbatim quote, is, if you think you've arrived, you probably have, and it'll be the end of the destination. If you keep striving to get better, then you're going to search for ways to do that. And I think that's a great summary of those three big areas. Steve always talks about being a great All Black. So that's the goal for the players, being the number one team. In order to get there, they need to keep doing me power conditioning to develop themselves individually, but they also need to do team power as well. That is supporting everyone else in the team to get better. So that's what he expects of his players. And then what was really interesting, after they'd won the second World Cup in 2015, the Amazon did a Fly in the Wall documentary as part of the All or Nothing series, which you might be familiar with. And within this documentary, showing the All Blacks not performing as well and not getting the results that they're used to getting, or that in fact we're used to them getting. And in one particular episode, they'd been beaten by Australia, which for the All Blacks is never good, but they were being criticised, particularly of being complacent. And within the same episode, it showed the build-up to the Argentina game, and Steve Hansen had specifically asked his players to do some video analysis work, if you like, to prepare them to play Argentina on the Saturday. And it shows a team meeting on the Thursday where Steve Hansen asks his players to stand up if they've completed that individual video analysis work. Surprisingly, only 3 out of the 25 All Blacks actually stand up to say that they've done the work, they've viewed the clips. And this was deemed as not a nice to have, it was deemed as a vital part of their preparation building up to the Argentina game after a poor performance to Australia. So obviously Steve Hansen isn't very happy about this. And he responds by challenging the squad to consider and improve their daily and weekly habits. So, Steve Hansen has some insight here. This is about the habits, because he gets that is driving behaviour. And he says verbatim to the team in the meeting, what I need you to do if you want to be a great All Black is have a look at your habits from Sunday to Friday. And he says, Saturday, match day, is just the fun part. And he goes on to say, every time you look in the mirror, you ask that man, am I doing what I need to be doing? It's not about the talk, boys. It's about what you do. And I think a bit like my experiences at Scunthorpe many years ago, where we had this fantastic record-breaking season, league-winning season, and the season after, we just weren't as consistent in our performance. We were all deeply disappointed at the end of the season. And I think we felt we kind of failed, but we all learned so much from that experience, because when you're able to put such high performance, consistent performance right next to performance that isn't as good, I think that's when you learn the most. And that's why this juxtaposition of the All Blacks performance is so interesting. But what I think is really interesting is I hear the All Blacks, in the narrative that comes out of what the All Blacks do, they talk an awful lot about mental skills training. I don't hear them talking about neuroscience or behavioral science or leadership science. And I don't think they have a good as understanding of that area as they do from mental skills training. And I just wonder if they'd had a better understanding of leadership science, if they'd have been able to navigate the transition of developing their next group of leaders more efficiently and effectively. Because essentially that's the problem that Steve Hansen is pointing towards in that group, is that there's not enough really good leaders to actually influence the behavior of the group. I think that even the best teams in the world are not capitalizing on leadership science in the way that they could, and they're therefore not getting the performance advantages that this offers.
Thanks for listening to the Habit Mechanic podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe and tell someone else about one of the ideas or insights that you found most interesting.